All right, I'm just going to try to run through this as quickly as possible. I tend to yammer away too much, but let's just run through what you wrote here. I like what you did here. That's an accurate summary. The only thing that I would change potentially is get into the habit of, if you've got sort of fancy vocabulary, simplify it as much as possible. You really should just have it in the back of your mind, like you're trying to explain what's going on to a 5 or 6-year-old. Okay, so instead of noxious odors, I might just, like the text was doing, just think that that really just means bad smells. As silly as that sounds, it's actually an extremely important aspect of your practice, just to really test yourself if you really understand what is being stated. Okay, so I would just, anytime that you've got some sort of nonsensical or out of the ordinary vocab, see if you can just simplify it. Okay, but other than that, completely solid. Now, uh, for number two, my problem with this is that, remember, if we've got, you identified what our subject is, it's reactions, right? That's this thing right here. And then think about, okay, everything prior to that, depending on individual sensitivity and that's all like some sort of caveat, some kind of additional scenario, but it's an aside from the main point. So I'd actually just drop all of that. More on this as we go, because I will, explore this further. But this is really subsidiary to what the main point of the sentence is. Think about, here's your subject, and then your main verb idea is it's something about including stuff, and the key idea there was irritation. So I would just not out the whole depends on individual sensitivity. Actually, the main idea was reactions include certain types of irritations. And I wouldn't necessarily write down all the different things they put. Okay. So more on this as we go, but so far, solid. Overall point. This is one thing that I would disagree with you here. Okay, so we have noxious odors or just bad smells. So far, so good. Causes, fine. Reactions, yay. Everything so far, so good. But look what you did right here. You just limited what the reactions were to one specific thing, which was mentioned, right? Mood and stress levels. It is in there. But that's not the overall point, right? That's one example of multiple things that this thing does. Get into the practice of taking a step back, okay? Bad smells cause multiple reactions. Literally. That's what we're talking about, right? Because we talked about, in fact, that's what it said in the first sentence, but then, we had an example here. Reactions can do some sort of eye, nose, and lung and throat irritation, and then can also affect mood and stress levels. So it's just, again, step backwards. It's a bunch of different things. So we're going to practice this, okay? So not just the specific, but take a step back, what overall is going on, okay? Um, let's move on. So this one's fine. Literally fine. Exactly what we talked about when the previous thing here is, like, we can ignore the entire first bit here, though comma, the overall sentence is as you underline. The antithesis is actually true. The only thing that I might do, just as a practical matter, because we're saying essentially antithesis means opposite, so the opposite is true. What would be helpful is to have a basic understand what opposite of what. So I might just do a quick little summary of what's going on in here, just so that I understand what I mean by antithesis. So maybe something like the very first part of this sentence is something about people think that using big words makes them shows that they're smart, but they're wrong. I might include something like that in here just as a reference. Okay, but yeah, but solid work there. Um, and then accurate paraphrase. Be very careful. You used an extreme word there, technically comparison word. Best expository writing is this. They didn't actually say that. Oh no, they did. Never mind. Sorry. Sorry. You're correct. Okay, they did make things. So just ignore what I said right there. Okay, but the best expository writing is, well, actually, technically, I think you did this wrong because that's the second sentence. It was asking for the third sentence. But yeah, that's a good summary of the second sentence. I'll take that. But for the third sentence, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, think about, I'm not even going to say anything. I want you just to think about what's going on here and how you'd summarize it. Okay, but solid job on second sentence. But overall point would be, let's see, excessive vocabulary. Okay, too strong. I don't like that. Has no impact. We don't have that in the text. Okay, the author's saying essentially it's overrated, excessive. Use of this big words is not necessarily good, but it doesn't say that it has no impact. Okay, so just be careful about that. But otherwise, pretty good. All right, so let's skim through. We'll try to keep this in time here. The first sentence: liars suffer from patho. Okay, same, very solid. Everything's good. The only thing I would say is apply your inner 5-year-old, right? If you were going to explain what does pathological effects mean, see if you can simplify that. But other than that, subject, verb, correct. Everything else is fine. Paraphrase of the second sentence: threatening, surrounding, and cause are causes of lies. Yeah. I guess maybe I might just say this is a little extreme. It says it's perhaps, right? It's alleged. So it's not extreme. It's not absolute. Oh, this does cause that. It's more of it's suggested that it does. Okay, so just kind of watch out for that. All right, but other than that, it's good. Like it. Overall point lies again, same. Our response to I really nothing that I would change here other than just be a little bit more temperate. It's believed or alleged that these are a response. Why we lie is from threatening surroundings and pathological effects. Okay, so just be careful. Basically, two things: don't be too extreme if it's not justified in the text, and also work on translating jargon. Okay. Other than that, very good. Okay, so let's see what we got here real quickly. Income, I'm not sure what that means, TVE, but clues helped you. Diplomat, rise, sure. And we kind of talked about this as well. Like it was linked to and with savvy wit, which is a positive thing. So presumably incompetent, whatever that means, is also positive. Yes. And then I like what you did here. High, untouchable, high standards. Yep, very solid. Okay. We have a contrast and arcanated from active service, traces of the presence may be seen. This is a little bit tricky because it's not entirely clear the key here, but we are in fact contrasting something blank from active service, and what we can still see it. So we know that the contrast has to indicate like we can see bits of it, but it's presumably not in full apparatus. So yes, I like what you did here. Presence, lost, not seen, contrasted with, yes, exactly right. Contrasted with presence. Yeah, no changes on that one. Okay, real fast. Let's see here. I'm not really sure what this means. This TUE, this VE, I don't know. You'll have to text me the interpretation of that. But yes, this is correct. Early start for Zizabulus. Both were compared with foreshadowed. Yes, they both were, but we kind of had to decipher which of these words really fit with this concept here. And I think as we talked about in class, it was quizmatic because that was something about an analysis of the actual work itself. So foreshadowed both later works, which makes it clear. Yeah, it was a good start. So fabulous, fabulous. Yeah, should be, right? I would maybe mildly disagree with this, just in terms of it was very clearly connected with the term early, right? So that it had something to do with it was not the later works. It was something early on when he was 6. So I would just very simply replace that with something like early. But quizmatic, yes, mildly negative, not up to the proper level. Yeah, solid job. Yep, overall, very good. To be continued, but you're on the right track. Just basic takeaways here would be try to translate complicated vocabulary as best as you can, and then also don't get lost in the weeds when it comes to sort of descriptive phrases that are not necessary ultimately for the sentence. But very good, sir.